You are listening to the Roberta Glass True Crime Report, putting the true back in true crime. From New York City, Roberta Glass is now on the record. Okay, good morning. I just wanted to come on real quick and talk about some breaking news from Baltimore. Absolutely shocking. The ex-state's attorney, Marilyn Mosby, is under fire for releasing a really dangerous criminal 7 years into his sentence. 7 years into his 30-year sentence, excuse me. So this was a repeat offender, and she shortened his sentence, let him out, only to reoffend and kill. What it looks like is he killed one really beloved member of the Baltimore community and may have killed more. So let's look at the news story that came out yesterday. Internet slams ex-DA Marilyn Mosby after it's revealed she set suspected killer of Pava LaPere free just 7 years into a 30-year sentence. This is a story by Canal Day. Baltimore, Maryland. The city of Baltimore, Maryland finds itself embroiled in controversy following the brutal murder of tech CEO Pava LaPere and the subsequent arrest warrant issued for Jason Billingsley, a convicted offender with a history of violence. The incident has thrust former district attorney Marilyn Mosby's policies into the spotlight, leading to widespread backlash and questions about her tenure in office. So this is the same state's attorney who let Adnan go, suggesting he be retried. And then when this, on the strength of this new evidence, and when that decision was challenged, she just totally got rid of the conviction before it could be challenged in court, just vacated it. And she is on trial herself for fraud. And it's going to be tried out of in a different location in 2 different trials, is my understanding. Okay, back to the article. Mysterious release of Jason Billingsley. In October 2022, LaPere's suspected killer, Jason Billingsley, a 32-year-old with a disturbing criminal history, was released from prison after serving just 7 years of a 30-year sentence. His early release left many questioning the circumstances that led to his decision. Little bit like someone else we know. Billingsley's troubles with the law date back to 2009, when he was arrested for robbery and assault in the second degree. Subsequently, he faced arrest in 2011 and again in 2013 on multiple charges, including offenses, second-degree assault charges, and robbery. In 2015, he was sentenced to 30 years in prison, with all but 14 years suspended. He served his time at the Maryland Correctional Institute in Hagerstown. However, the reasons behind his relatively short sentence and swift release remain unclear, raising suspicions about the decision-making process within the justice system. Tragic murder of Pava LaPere. Pava LaPere, a promising 26-year-old tech CEO, met a horrific end in her Baltimore apartment. When law enforcement arrived at the scene, they were confronted with a gruesome murder that seasoned officers described as, quote, absolutely brutal, unquote. And here's Pava. There's her social media post. In the wake of Pava LaPere's murder, the Baltimore police swiftly issued an arrest warrant for Jason Billingsley. His charges included first-degree murder, assault, and reckless endangerment. Acting Police Commissioner Richard Worley did not mince words, labeling Billingsley a, quote, repeat violent offender, unquote, and revealing that he is a suspect in it, quote, at least one other case, unquote. The public was warned that Billingsley was armed and dangerous, quote unquote. The investigation into Billingsley's activities has expanded to include a broader examination of his potential involvement in other crimes. Detectives are now probing possible links between Billingsley and an assault and arson attack that occurred in West Baltimore on September 19th. The incident left 2 individuals critically injured and a child hospitalized. While the police have not officially confirmed Billingsley's involvement, they are exploring the connection, fueling concerns about his violent tendencies and the possibility of additional victims. And here's the backlash against Marilyn Mosby. Marilyn Mosby, who served as the district attorney in Baltimore, although they use the term state's attorney, has become a focal point of outrage and criticism in the wake of Billingsley's release and Pava LaPere's murder. Her tenure as district attorney, backed by Democrat mega donor George Soros, was marked by a set of progressive policies, some of which have come under scrutiny. During her time in office, Mosby implemented policies that aim to reduce the city's prison population, hold police officers accountable for their actions, and review convictions for potential exoneration. While these policies garnered support from some quarters, they also raised concerns among those who believed they compromised public safety. One controversial aspect of Mosby's tenure was her dismissal of many veteran prosecutors. George Gascon has done the same thing in Los Angeles. George Gascon thought up with Soros this brilliant idea to put in prosecutors who would do the bidding of the defense, basically. It's an absolutely sinister thing they put together. She replaced experienced attorneys with young and relatively inexperienced lawyers, a move that generated criticism and raised questions about the competence of her legal team. Critics argued that these dismissals weakened the prosecution's ability to effectively pursue cases, particularly those involving violent offenders like Jason Billingsley. Exactly. There's no one there to really try these cases now. So if you're paying attention, really seasoned, great prosecutors in Los Angeles like John Lewin and John McKinney, who's running for DA in Los Angeles, have been exiled to low-level desk jobs for speaking out against George Gascon's pro-criminal policies. And Baltimore, it sounds like the same thing's going on. Not that she's exiling people, just that she's firing them and appointing people like Becky Feldman, who was the assistant DA who orchestrated this deal with Adnan's defense team. The backlash against Mosby extended to the social media platforms where her policies and decisions were fiercely criticized, following LaPere's murder. quote, if not for disgraced prosecutor Marilyn Mosby emptying the prisons, Pava LaPere would still be alive. One posted on X or Twitter, Marilyn Mosby has blood on her hands, I think they mean, for letting a beast like this released 7 years into a 30-year sentence. So sad to lose another precious life. Another wrote, Mosby should be sent to prison immediately. One social media user insisted. More Soros-funded trash, another said. So that is... It's important to note that Mosby's tenure as district attorney was not without its legal troubles. In January 2022, she was indicted on federal charges of perjury and making false mortgage applications. These charges stemmed from allegations that Mosby had made false applications to withdraw retirement funds to purchase a vacation home in Florida. So that is... From that, it also made national news, the hunt for Jason Billingsley. And even his mother was interviewed until they finally arrested him this morning. But it really does look like he has done more than one crime and that he is responsible for that murder arson. So let's just look at one other news piece. And
This is breaking news.
Breaking news this morning, the search for this man, Jason Billingsley, is now over.
The suspect in the murder of a young Baltimore tech CEO was taken into custody overnight.
The story has made national headlines, and we're breaking it all down for you this morning with live team coverage from Amy Kawada and Alexis Davila.
And the police department is preparing to provide more information on this arrest later this morning. But we want to first get a check with Amy, who is breaking down what we know so far. Amy, good morning.
Tim, Sina, good morning. Well, after 2 days on the run, sparking a statewide manhunt and leaving the community on edge, Jason Billingsley has been arrested. Our media partner, the Baltimore Banner, says that U.S. Marshals took him into custody last night just after 11 at his train station in Bowie. Billingsley, who was considered highly dangerous while on the run, had been wanted on a...
So he was found at a train station. So it sounds like he was fleeing, right? In the process of fleeing when they picked him up. I listened to an interview with his mother, and she was like weeping, apologizing to LaPere's family. She said she didn't know where he was. They put out a $6,000 reward last night.
A first-degree murder arrest for the killing of 26-year-old Pava LaPere, CEO and founder of EcoMap Technologies. Her body was found Monday morning at her apartment building in Mount Vernon and had signs of blunt force trauma. She had been reported missing. It's also worth noting, officials say the apartment building was secured, but police have not yet released any information on how Billingsley got inside. The arrest brings to a close an unsettling few days as new and disturbing details continue to emerge about Billingsley. Investigators are now connecting the 32-year-old to an attempted murder, arson, and rape case last week in West Baltimore that left 2 people fighting for their lives. Baltimore police say Billingsley was a violent repeat offender with a lengthy record that includes first and second-degree assault and attempted rape. He was also a registered sex offender. While Billingsley was still on the run, his mother, Scarlett, was among those urging him to turn himself in.
I can't understand what happened that he would do something like that.
And again, later this morning at 11, we're expecting to hear from the acting police commissioner, the mayor, and city state's attorney as they announce the arrest of Jason Billingsley. And coming up in about a half hour from now at 5:30, we're hearing more from Jason Billingsley's mother and her apology to LaPere's family. For now, reporting live this morning, I'm Amy Kawada for WJZ.
Amy, thank you. And our team coverage continues this morning with Alexis Davila.
Alexis, Billingsley was arrested just hours after LaPere's friends and family gathered right where you're standing.
Absolutely. LaPere's father was.
So, I mean, you heard his history. He's a sex offender. And that was an attempted murder, rape and attempted murder charge, arson charge. 2 people are barely clinging on to life, fighting for their lives. I mean, this would be the person you'd want to release. This is the person they'd want to release. And this is what haunts my nightmares, is the cases we don't know about. Not the Adnan Syeds, the cases we don't hear about, like Billingsley.
Here last night at the vigil and shared some touching words about his daughter and even the tragic way that her life was taken. And others who are close to LaPere also expressed how she had this desire and dedication to change Baltimore, and they say she did just that. Now, here in Washington Monument in Mount Vernon, this was in a packed area with company, friends, and family of Pava LaPere. They shared stories expressing their love for her and the impact she strived to make in this community. Her family says she made Baltimore her home after graduating from Johns Hopkins University. As she helped students create startups, she helped create EcoMap Technologies. The company organized the vigil to encourage people to remember her as a champion for the city.
So we thank you all for being here and for loving our daughter and taking care of her.
Pava woke up every day with the belief that she and we together had the power to ignite change. Together we can show the world that she was right.
Coming up at 5:30, we will hear the touching words from the co-founder of the tech company she helped create. Reporting live, I'm Alexis Davila for WJZ.
Thank you, Alexis. Again, if you're just joining us, Jason Billingsley, the man that police believe killed tech CEO Pava LaPere, has been arrested.
City police are set to have a news conference about this at 11 o'clock this morning, and we will stream it to you live on CBS News Baltimore. And as we continue to follow this story on air throughout the morning, we also have updates online at WJZ.com.
Okay, so I listened to the press conference, and all the prominent Baltimore figures are saying that we can't let this happen again. But when the time for that is before you put in these pro-criminal policies. How about some talk about how we're going to change this, how we're going to reverse some of this damage that's been done to our criminal justice system? Because this will happen again and again and again. Who would let this kind of guy out? Who would look at his criminal record and say, that's a guy that needs a sentence reduction? Marilyn Mosby, that's who. And the new state's attorney certainly is looking like he's going to follow in her footsteps. So it's kind of a joke to come out there and say we're going to get tough. They only can get as tough as the law allows. Going to get tough on this crime? That's what I have for today. I will be back later, and I'll see you then. All right. Have a great one, everybody.